Welcome back to TFDD Whiskey. I'm Max.
This is Tushar.
I'm Johnny.
There we go.
I'm Braden.
Hell yeah. And this is a new series called Anything But a Glen. This is episode 1. Episode 1 is going to be a talk about NDPs. So let's talk about it. And no better way to start this out than me talking about my favorite NDP of this year. So I think I know what Tushar's going to say. I don't think he's going to stray away from what I think he's going to say. So I'm going to go with Dream Spirits. I've only had 2 of them. But man, I can't deny that whether it's just you knowing somebody as an owner of an NDP and you having connections in a place like Washington over there and, you know, working with businessmen and probably people in politics, but something's working because they're getting some barrels of 11-year Heaven Hill, 18-year Barton that's really, really, really good. And that's what bottle I have to start this out with. Now, I guess we can go around the room, kind of talk about one NDP, and then kind of just back and forth it.
Yeah, last year was, I feel like, belonged or started NDP kind of like a revolution that wasn't there in Bourbon World before, with River Roots really being there, and then Circle City locally, then Dream Spirits, and a lot of other NDPs which are like hiding in the background started with. They just went crazy last year. And I was introduced to River Roots by Max. And I fell for it. One bottle that still I can see that made me chase it, and now I have 20 plus bottles of it. So my favorite from last year NDP has been River Roots.
River Roots is crazy, man. I mean, I was gonna say, I had the Rise before meeting you. Then you bought everything else, the Weededs, the Double Oaks, and you let me try these other things. And like.
Dude, I was aware about River Roots after you, and then I saw they had the 1 gram to rule them all. And I'm telling you, I like whiskey and I'm interested in whiskey. I read about whiskey, but I didn't care. I just wanted that bottle because of the label. I'm like, I need to get that label. And from there, I chased down the person who did the pick, went into the River Roots rabbit hole, spent almost close to a Mictus 20 amount of money in River Roots. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I'll have River Roots. So yeah.
All right.
I think for me, I mean, just looking, like, I don't have a lot of NDP stuff. I mean, Penelope in a sense, but I don't really have that many Penelope bottles. I'm gonna kind of piggyback off Tushar, and like I said in the last video, I like River Roots is probably gonna be mine. Like, everything that I've had from them, everything has just been absolutely fire.
Yeah, I drink. I can't see you drinking. What are you drinking, Johnny?
Yeah, what you got in there?
In my cup, I got a little single barrel from Russell's.
Shit's good.
What's in your cup?
This motherfucker.
Espresso.
Okay. Max, what you got in your cup?
In my cup, I have some OGD 114. Yeah. What about you, Braden?
What about you, Brady?
I did a greener single barrel.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I want to start this before we move to Braden to hear what he has to say, because we mentioned two people mentioned the same company twice. Now the question I want to pose is, why is River Roots taking off like it is? Because other people are doing 95.5s. Other people are doing the same barrels. Now what's different? Is it just the label? Like, Tushar, what do you think?
I feel they hit the marketing in a very weird way very nicely. They started with like exclusivity of smaller releases where the price wasn't too high, and everybody, like bourbon enthusiasts, they targeted them and they got really into it. And all of a sudden, if you know about it, like, I need to get into it. Like, it's such a small release, and that FOMO really drove their marketing. In a lot of cases, FOMO drives a lot of sales, but in the end, you're like, I'm not happy about it as much. But with River Roots, at least last year, most of the bottles were delicious. So with the FOMO and then the backing of selecting good barrels, either through their own actually industry connections or they have the money, I don't know that. But whatever we've tried, as Johnny said, nothing has been like, okay, maybe this is not as good as the previous one, but it's still by itself really good. So that's one of the things that has driven River Roots to where it is right now, where everybody's talking about it, everybody has it on their list to do a barrel pick, or everybody knows about it, even though they don't make anything. They just sell the barrel.
Yeah, I
That's
was like,
what I'm saying.
I knew you were going there. That's why I didn't even bring this up. I was like, you know what? I know he's gonna say it. So, but yeah, I mean, they
I
started.
knew, yeah, yeah. It would be hard for you and me not to like River Roots.
It's
You
one of
like a
those
lot of
things
good
where,
stuff.
like, if you think about it, what like they did everything right. They started off extremely affordable for the you know the age statement and what they were selling. They were beating out competitors, and then you could customize your own label. And then it was like, you know, it's like, brother, like they look good, good price, they taste amazing, and like maybe it tastes the same as other 95.5s, but maybe placebo effect, it doesn't taste the same to me. Maybe.
For me, I've tried some and they do taste very similar, but for the price point and how early I got into them, like I got older MGP rice much later from other NDPs than River Roots. They started putting out 12 year, 13 year in last year, like first quarter or second quarter, where everybody else was a little behind that wheel.
How do they go about like getting these barrels? Like, is at each distillery that they're getting them from? How is there like a special like warehouse that they could just choose from, or they can pretty much choose any?
So there are brokers, barrel brokers. There are firms who have inventory of different distilleries. Like if you're Buffalo Trace and you have like these 10,000 barrels that don't meet the criteria because Buffalo Trace can do that, or maybe 100 barrels from a smaller distillery, they'll put it out on the market through those brokers. And those brokers have these people are looking for it. They have websites, they have apps, they have different connections that will tell you, hey, this is dropping here. Are you interested? It is from this and this. And then people are like, okay, depending on the price of the barrel, obviously, that's how they get that. So a lot of it is based on your connection in the industry and what your connection is with that broker, like most of the stuff here. That's what I understood from just listening and reading about it.
Now, also, or like when they buy these barrels, do they like just take them back? They take them back to their facility, right? And they could let it sit longer.
They could, yeah, they could.
I mean, they could do whatever they want with it at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they can-
Tashar, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times when River Roots and other NDPs buy barrels from MGP, from brokers, they haven't tasted it. And sometimes these barrels come to them empty, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, it gets there, and then, you know, then they're tasting it, and then they're hoping that, you know, whatever relationship's working out, they're getting the best barrels. It's weird.
It is a gamble in that sense. That's why that broker kind of middleman in between tries to help to navigate that, but still can happen. If you have that, you can still do it. But as Max said, if you get and people also try to get like a younger age whiskey, then they can store it in their rick house if they have the capacity. And then it's not that expensive, because buying a 14-year MGP barrel versus getting a 10-year and aging it for 4 years, it's much cheaper. I would assume that. That's my assumption. I don't know exactly the calculations and the price behind it, the dollar amount, but that's my assumption, is getting an 8-year barrel and then aging for 3 years and then releasing it as a 12-year would be cheaper for that NDP than actually buying a 12-year, 13-year MGP barrel.
So from what I've seen, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but by law, do they have like each place, the River Roots or whomever, do they have to have like a still at the location?
By law, if you're saying NDP is a weird term that bourbon exists in, but is kind of like taken from Scotch World, where Scotch World has blenders or bonders in Irish whiskey, and then you have independent bottlers. Independent bottlers is what NDP here is, but the way the rules are that you have to have a small still somewhere that you show that you're doing something with it.
Yeah.
Because you're non-distilling producer. So the producer title is vague. Actually, you are independent bottler. And with independent bottling from Scotland, you have a lot of non-NDAs where you can say, put the name of the distillery. Like I have a lot of bottles from people from Macallan or from Lafroig or Ardbeg that are not from Ardbeg, but a barrel was bought from Ardbeg. Somebody else bottled it and put their name and said it's from Ardbeg. But with NDPs here, you don't see that. The best you can get is like, because of an NDA, is a mash bill, place of origin, age, proof. That's all they can tell. And if you're there on the pig, they can say, hush, hush, it's this distillery. Hush, hush, it's rhymes with turkey. Something like that. So that's where it's a little muddy in those waters. So you are right. I've seen it Circle City. I've seen it Old Louisville. I'm pretty sure all the other NDPs have that kind of like a smaller setup just to show it's not operational. It's there.
Well, speaking of Circle City, that's who I'm picking. I could be a little biased because it's Indiana, but honestly, I've tried quite a few different bottles. I don't like every single one, but man, I would say that Double Oak, that Tushar, Let Me Borrow, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And also being an Indiana fan, sports fans, they kind of, they came out with Overrate This for the Pacers when they were in the finals. Dude, that shit hyped me up. Like, that's a selling point for me. Like, I didn't care what the mash bill was. I didn't care where it came from. Just because it said Overrate This, I'm buying the shit.
Yeah,
but it was good. But it was still good.
Exactly. Like, that's why we always say that, oh, we have to taste and like it. But there is a psychological connection. If the label or something related to you that hits you, you're just there. You're hooked. You're hooked, then you're hooked. And in case of you and me, turned out that the bottles are also good. We were not just hooked to the label, but it turned out to be good. But most of the time, you're like, I see that. Like, that's just good, dude. I like that label. I don't care. I'm going to buy that bottle. Like Doc Holliday, World Whiskey Society. A lot of people buy that bottle because there is a empty gun chamber on top as a cork. You have a little, like a symbol it there. Doc Holliday is like a reference not just in here, but also in movies. So people have a lot of association with that character. And whiskey could be mediocre to great, but you're still buying into it. It's just how it works. Our minds work that way. We can't stop that.
Yeah, I can agree. Even when it came to that motherfucking Art of the Spirits, it's except for that damn pick label, right? But they got some cool looking bottles, like, I mean, the designs, right? Then you have hazmat stuff, which gets everybody wanting to get on the hype train, right? But yeah, that's another bottle where the marketing will get you. You don't even got to taste it, but you want it.
Dude, this next year, I'm hoping that NDPs get more barrels and their pricing is more consistent. That's one thing that I've seen, and I can understand why it happens. But as a consumer who has so many options and the economy is not as good as what it was last year or 2 years ago, I would like to have them 10, 13-year products from NDPs to be much more affordable. Sometimes I feel like they get carried away with an extra $20, $30, which is like, do I really want to buy a $200 13-year whiskey? I don't, because I'll save that, and maybe if I get the Russell's Pick or Russell's Reserve when it's coming out and it's going to be $200, I'll save it for that. Mm-hmm. But if I had that as a cheaper, I could buy both of them, Or some people might be like more readily available to get them. Hopefully they get the barrels cheaper. Hopefully they're not too greedy, and hopefully we get benefit out of it and they all succeed. Like, it's a balance, and hopefully this year they get that balance.
So, besides Double Oak, honestly, unless I'm just that dumb or just don't know, a lot of times I don't see NDP being finished.
Good question.
I think it's a good question. I think honestly, it doesn't happen often enough, right? But you did see like what Tushar dropped in our TFDD Discord. He dropped the River Roots Triple Oak, right? They do it sometimes, but a lot of times it's easier just to grab a barrel and then just sell it right away. So it's just, but
true.
When you can blend stuff, that's why I really do. I haven't had much of Circle City, but that 50-50, right? It's cool that they're blending stuff and then selling it instead of just like, all right, you just bought something and rebranded it and selling it to us, right?
So I've been fortunate to talk to Drew a couple of times because I've done picks and we've talked about so there are a couple of things why I think people don't do that enough. First is what Max said is like easier. You bought a barrel, you stored for 6 months and you spent money, right? It's expensive. You want to get your money back and it's a good barrel. What's the point of finishing it? First is that. Second is you bought a barrel like broker and you didn't know, it's not good. Then you double oak it, you blend it, that's good. But with doing that, you're risking now. Like if you and me right now blend something, we bought a bottle, it's a $60 to $600 bottle. If we F it up, it's that. They are dealing in 10,000, 5,000, 15,000. If the blend doesn't work, it's actual money, like it's big money. So they don't want to take that risk if you're not competent enough or you don't feel confident enough to do that. Finishing in wine barrels or any kind of weird barrels comes with like buying that barrel from the broker again, and that's going to add to the cost. you're not sure if it's worth that. So economics drive that factor a lot. So double oaking is the easiest. So you already had like 5 barrels which you sold. Now you bought this bottle or this barrel which is not as good. Let's just finish this in one of those barrels. That will give it a second oak impact and also give it more flavor. And I can say I finished in 4 roses or stack barrel or something like that.
I think
it's the money.
I think the best example of what Tashar's talking about, and Tashar, if I'm wrong with anything I say, just tell me to shut the hell up and I'll stop. But River Roots, they did a quadruple oak. Now that thing was never supposed to exist, but it goes for crazy on secondary. The reason it exists, from what I've heard and being in Discords and conversations and other groups, is because it was ass. It was ass as a double barrel. It was ass as a triple barrel, but they somehow made it work at a quadruple oak. And then they sold it and everybody loved it. So it's like Tashar says, you got a lot of money in something. You're like, okay, we're too invested in this. We have to make this work.
And every time you're transferring from one barrel to other, I could be wrong if somebody else in watches video says that, but I feel you're also losing some proof adding to it and the liquid because it's not as seamless. You will lose something, and that small things matter if you do it a lot more. So if all 4 of us next 6 months decide to pool 50 grand and start an NDP, our main goal would be to only sell what we bought and get basically like even. We're not talking about finishes, we're not talking about too much extra, just it's decent good whiskey so we can get a startup. Maybe later on, 10 years down the line, Circle City and River Roots will do weird finishes, who knows, that we've not thought about. But at this point, I think that's one of the biggest reasons they don't do that.
Also, I didn't know that these NDPs were not able to taste the barrel that they're getting prior to receiving.
Yeah, from my knowledge, man, they're just buying from brokers, and it's on a good word a lot of times.
For bigger distilleries, for larger amounts, and I don't think they do. For maybe if you're selective enough, you know the distiller, it's a smaller craft distillery, you might have that relation that somebody says, hey, I have these 21 barrels that I'm putting up. If you want to come and taste one, I'll mark these aside. Maybe. But all of that is to say that liquor laws in this country are very weird. The way you sell and where you buy. So every state, every distillery has to abide with where they are working for and how the shipping and how everything works. It's harder. It should be more simple, but it's harder. Johnny, what's your favorite NDP? NDP, like not River Roots.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, dude, probably Circle City. I'm like Braden. Like I've had some stuff from them that I've really enjoyed. And then I've had other stuff from them that I've been like, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, it's not for me. So probably Circle City. I mean, I feel like they kind of hit the nail on the head with like, some of the blending they do.
They're good stuff.
Some of the other stuff that they release, I will say the double oak that Braden talked about, I tried it. I didn't like it, which was kind of shocking because like, I'm normally like you, like I love double oak stuff. But it just, I don't know, to me it had the palate to me, like the nose I loved, it was just the palate. There was one note to me that just, I don't know, it just overrid everything, and like I didn't like it, and it was kind of like it took me by surprise. But like all the other Circle City stuff I've had, like I've liked it for the most part. I mean, I think I have one bottle right now, and it's a pick that I don't like. I mean, it's not something that like I'm reaching for consistently, and I'm a little bit salty about it because the cork broke on it.
I have another question through the group. Like, if you find something, if you go into a liquor store and there you want to only spend $100, and you see a distillery that you love, could be any distillery. They have a bottle that is really good for $100, and there's an NDP that everybody said that's really good. Which one would you choose and why?
We need more background information on that question. We need more context.
So context saying, let's just say 10-year whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Put the 10-year bourbon. You have a 10-year bourbon from Four Roses, a pick, and a 10-year Circle City MGP bourbon or Heaven Hill, whatever. You like the mash bill of the Four Roses because Four Roses have that mash bill problem. If you like that mash bill, if you like the age, if the tier is good and it's $100 versus the Circle City River Roots Onyx Amber has bourbon double oak that you always have liked from them, which one will you go and pick up at that point? Who would you spend your $100 on?
So I will start this off because I can imagine myself already in this store. And you painted it You painted the question good, right? So I can see a Four Roses $100, 10-year, whatever, right? And I am maybe not my favorite mash bill, like whatever OESV, but maybe it's like something that I might like. I might want to try.
You might like.
Versus
Exactly.
versus NDP, I'm picking the Four Roses. And I'm saying that because I'm very selective now in my journey with the NDPs I do choose. A lot of times, an NDP itself does not sell me. It has to be tied to a pick, like from somebody that I agree with. Or has to be tied to something else. It has to be tied to a review. Maybe a Discord guy saying, hey, this is great. And that ties it in for me. Now I'm like, okay, now I might. But if I walk into a store and see NDP 10-year versus Four Roses, I'm picking the Four Roses every time. But that's me.
I'm with you. Like, that's a very simple, like, but also very more, that's how I would go too. Like, if I had that option without knowing thing, I would most likely choose a distillery release for the same price that I'm most likely sure for, which is not what I would like to do, but eventually I will end up doing. I would like to support the NDP. I would like to buy that bottle, but in my head, with evaluating everything and going through all the stuff, like, this is a more safer bet.
Yeah.
If Matt said, or Johnny said, or Britton said, I like that pick, then it's a different situation. Then I'm like, okay, I'm grabbing it. I don't care. I'll trust those pallets. Even if I don't like it, I can give you guys trash about it. Like, that's as simple. But with the other one, it's so safer. What about you two?
I think that I would have to know the NDP. Like, I don't want to say no, but I would have had to have something from them, like either around the same age statement, same mash bill, same whatever, and something that I think, and like this is, it's probably gonna go a little bit off subject. I think that.
We're all off subject. Go off subject. Go off subject. Go off subject. Let's go. Let's go.
Fucking go.
I think that, like you said it perfectly, like a Four Roses pick for $100. Like, that's kind of the average. For an NDP to put out a $100 bottle, and then, like, let's just say it's like an NDP that's not super well known, or like, that you've personally never heard of it. Like, I feel like the average bourbon person, or someone who's new into bourbon, dude, they're not gonna pick the NDP. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, I've never heard of this, and they want $100 for it. What are they doing? Why? And it could be totally different. It could be, oh, I've never seen this before, and it's $100. What is it? And then, they start reading the label or start doing whatever, and they're like, oh, this is, this mash bill is, like a beam mash bill, and it's 10 years old. Like, it just depends, but me personally, I'm going with the Legacy Distillery.
Yeah, I was expecting some of y'all to go the other way. I wasn't expecting y'all to jump on the same kind of,
It's because we are still. I feel like we all still feel like when we spend $100, and still $100 is $100. I know the value has dropped in the last 2 years, but still $100. Whiskey in your head feels very expensive when it's $100. Even though I'm so used to buying $500 whiskey sometimes that I forget, but $100 is still very expensive. So it's a safer bet to go towards something that you already know and tasted and existed for a longer time than a newer person. In our heads, we are just built that way. Even though I want to support that NDP, but it's hard.
I agree on that note. That $100, if we're talking about that $100 price range, I personally would also probably pick the Four Roses. But if it came down to like a $60 bottle or a $50 bottle, I think just the experience of blending and stuff like that from the NDP, I would go if it was that $50, $60 range with the NDP. I think that's where I would draw the line on that price range.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think me as well. There's something about $100 where you want that security with a legacy. 60, I'll 50 or 60. I'll take a gamble, but
like recently, me and Max got those Trails in, which were $80, $70 picks, and there was a gamble. It was 10 year. We were just picking it because Hazmat, somebody said this. We didn't know. We haven't tried it. And then I opened that bottle and I opened mine, and I've drank a lot. I've been drinking in the last 2 days from that bottle.
Yep.
That's how good that bottle is. And it's shocking. I've ordered 3 more for other folks from that. That's how good that bottle is.
You're right. I mean, it's 100% gamble with NDP if you can't try it. And that's where we talked about earlier. How awesome would it be to go to some place, specifically a pick of an NDP or whatever, and try it. But your gamble is buying it. I would risk the gamble because it could be 10 times better than what that 4 Roses is. I don't know, man. That's tough.
It is tough. That's why, because it's some of those decisions that we're talking right now that we all do when we get there. When you go to a store, you want to buy something, but you see a bottle which is obviously really good, but then it's $175, and you don't want to spend $175. So you say, okay, I want to spend $100 this week, this month. That's my limit for this. I don't care. That's all I can spend, but I do want to buy something. And you see 3 or 4 options, and one of them usually ends up being a source product. Could be technically an NDP, could be just a source product. Somebody else is putting their name and not calling it. So it's always a weird connection there. But yeah, those are good points because we all feel like, and I want to say this not in more like going where more psychological, but we feel like we want to support the smaller guy. When it comes to like certain like that, it's harder to support it because our minds, the way we think. We want to support them. We want to give them. And I always have this option, and could be just the tater and the flipper inside me, that if I buy something for $100 from 4 Roses, and if I don't like it, I can not sell it, not necessarily sell it, but if I give it to a friend, he will appreciate it a lot more versus if I say, hey, Braden, I bought this new NDP something that's 6 years old, and I was not a big fan. Do you want a bottle? Braden will like, okay, sure, free whiskey, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to do it, I have too much. But if I say it's a 6-year Russell's pick that I wasn't a big fan, but everybody else loved it, or it's Russell's, like, sure, why not? I like Russell's, I can go with that. That part really helps, just like making that extra decision.
Oh yeah. Well, this is TFDD Whiskey. As always, see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.